Thank you for inviting me to speak here today. I'm April Pylon. I'm the CEO and founder of Clarisance. The name does confuse some people. They think we might make shampoo, but we actually are a biotech company. We make protein drugs to treat respiratory diseases. We're a biopharmaceutical product development company founded in 2007, located in Rockville, Maryland. A small company right now. We have a strong clinical focus in respiratory disease, but potential to get into other autoimmune type diseases in other parts of the body as well. Our lead drug is ready to enter phase 2 clinical trials, and our technology is based on 15 years worth of my research, along with my academic colleagues. Our lead product is the CC10 protein, pictured here. It's a ribbon design. It's a very small, tough little protein. It's the most abundant protein in the respiratory tract. Most respiratory patients have deficiencies of their own CC10, and our therapeutic strategy is to replace or restore function. We do know that CC10 deficiency does lead to airway disease, and people who have respiratory disease have a deficiency of CC10. So CC10 is a really important critical component of respiratory health. Our drug is a synthetic copy of naturally occurring CC10 that we make in bacteria. We know at this point that it's safe in infants and adults. It has the potential to be first to market, first in class, and disease modifying, not just a daily symptomatic treatment. As of from what I know, there is no other drug like this, and here's why. We've been in 2 clinical trials so far with CC10. One is a product that goes into the endotracheal tube in premature babies who are intubated and treated for respiratory distress syndrome. And that's this product. The other product is an intranasal product that we tested in healthy adult volunteers with seasonal allergies. In both studies, the drug was safe and well tolerated. And in the premature babies, we saw some profound benefits. First and foremost, there was a very potent anti-inflammatory effect. We went into this trial knowing that we would achieve that. But what we didn't know was that we were going to see an unprecedented long-term benefit. And that most striking result was at 6 months after these infants got a single dose on the day of birth. None of the infants who had received our drug had been hospitalized for any respiratory cause, whereas half of the babies who did not get our drug had been rehospitalized for things like asthma and severe lung infections. So this is an important differentiator. There isn't anything else like this that we're aware of. Now we think that these clinical benefits can be translated to several other patient populations that also have a CC10 deficiency. And you see our infant indication is ready to go into phase 2. We've completed phase 1. Our nasal spray, we want to go for persistent sinusitis. That's recurrent sinusitis, chronic rhinosinusitis, and nasal polyposis. That's ready for a phase 2 as well. We have an intravenous form we'd like to develop for severe respiratory infections like influenza. This is a significant biodefense opportunity for us. And then we'd like to develop an inhaled form of CC10 for treatment of asthma and COPD. The first 4 products here are CC10 based. Our last product is a product that's based on another similar CC10-like protein, but it's not the exact same protein. And that we've been working with the NIH for the last couple of years, and we've shown that it's actually better than CC10 for pulmonary fibrosis. So the take-home message from this slide is that they're fairly large markets, annual markets in the U.S., and our intranasal product, we want to really run with that because the clinical trials for this indication are relatively short and inexpensive compared to the other indications. Now, there's a lot of competition in the respiratory space. There are corticosteroids, bronchodilators, beta agonists, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Many of you have maybe have taken these or know someone who's taken them, or you probably will take one of these or more in your lifetime. These are all old drugs. They have issues. They have side effects. They become ineffective with chronic use. They are not innovative at this point. There are lots of other things, particularly biologic drugs, that can make much greater inroads. Moreover, they only treat the daily symptomatic, the daily symptoms. They do not modify the disease. And in about 10% of patients in these respiratory indications, they don't respond to these drugs, or they lose their responsiveness to the drugs. And the new products that have come out recently, say in the last couple of decades, are really just combinations of the old drugs. So there is a need for new agents. The benefit for CC10, it's truly novel. It will be first in class. So far it's safe and well tolerated. We haven't seen any side effects. We've seen extraordinary protection, at least in these babies. And as I said, it has the potential to be disease modifying. You don't see long-term benefits like this in many drugs at all that are even in development now. So we don't believe it's just a symptomatic treatment. We think we can modify the course of the disease. Now, more of you seem to be familiar with biotech than I thought when I prepared this slide, so sorry for the remedial lesson here. For a biotech company, the major assets are intellectual property, know-how, regulatory submissions, people who have experience in the technology, and then some biological materials such as our production strains, our drug samples, and our reagents that we use to quality control our batches. The more advanced the product, the lower the risk, obviously. In the product development path, we have phase 1 clinical testing for safety, phase 2 clinical testing for efficacy, and then phase 3, which is very large trials upon which approvals are based. Our products for the sinusitis in the infants have passed phase 1, so they're significantly de-risked at this point. And the step where you go from showing that it's safe to showing that it works in people is one of the highest value-added steps in the whole product development path. So this is where we are, and this is why we're here. What we'd like to do is build an acquisition target. They're seeking $2 to $3 million in equity financing. The primary objective, use of funds, will be to complete a phase 2A trial for our sinusitis product, although that may happen with the baby product as well. And with that information, we would find a corporate partner and out-license the intranasal product and use the proceeds to fund further development of the retained assets. This is an active field of licensing. I'm showing some example deals of what we would like to achieve in the respiratory space. These deals have all occurred in the last 3 years. There have been over 300 respiratory deals in the last 3 years, so it is an active area. Typically, a license will take the form of an upfront payment, milestones linked to regulatory and clinical progress, royalties on sales, and typically the licensee, if it's a large enough company, pays all the development costs. That's the type of deal that we're looking for. And for products that are at the stage where ours are in the infants and the sinusitis, phase 1 is complete. Total deal values are in the range of $250 million plus sales milestones and royalties. And for preclinical products, this is actually $564 million. For preclinical products, that's 3 drugs. So at the preclinical stage, for large markets in asthma and COPD, you're seeing values of about $180 million per product. So our exit strategy, as I said, ultimately is sale of the company. The longer that we retain the rights to our products and build value, the higher the exit value will be. So we're looking to keep the infant product at least for a while in the US, possibility of out-licensing it in the EU. We'll out-license the nasal product as soon as we complete a successful phase 2, and our other non-infant products. Our exit targets are large pharma companies, some of whom we've already spoken to. I don't want to bog you down with this for time considerations, but basically What we're hoping is that a small $2 million investment will get us a lot of runway and build a lot of value, allow us to secure a corporate partner, and advance some of our other products. There are two types of market protections for our products. The first is patents. We have 3 issued US, 11 issued international. They're fairly aging patents. We have a bunch of new patents, particularly for the sinusitis product. We just got a set of strong claims allowed in New Zealand, and hopefully the rest of the world will follow, where we can have good, strong protection for that product. There are regulatory.
You'll be filed as a BLA?
NDA. I can take questions when I'm done. I got a lot of material to get through. The other major regulatory protection I just want to call your attention to is the Healthcare Reform Act of 2009, biosimilars legislation. FDA just issued guidance on this. They're intending to enforce 12 years of exclusivity from the date of product approval for reference products. We want our products to be the reference product for CC10. And that is enormous. It's better than patents. Actually, it's longer. In terms of management, we have a wonderful team. I'm a serial entrepreneur myself in biotech. I have over 16 years of experience managing science in a small business background. And you other entrepreneurs know you do everything yourself for a good long time. Donna Palmer is my VP of R&D. I've known her for 9 years. Worked with her on Clarisons for the last 2. Likewise, Lisa Beth Furstenberg and Suzanne Sensabaugh both have incredible experience. They're the right people for the job. I've worked with them for the last 2 years on Clarisons. My board of directors consists of myself, Christine Koppel from your very own board, Blanche Johnson. I've known Chris and Blanche for over 10 years.
20.
Both of them were investors in my previous company, and I'm really honored to have them working with me at Clarisons. And then Jeff Zell is our newest director. He actually joined the team after making an investment. We learned that we each had an interest in the pharma industry at a wine tasting fundraiser for our kids' school. So he's a family friend, but it turns out that his commercial real estate firm services the North American facilities for several major pharmas and biotech companies. So he's definitely a industry insider and has some great connections. So I believe this board is a good start and can take us through executing our business plan. In terms of the investment opportunity, we have only common shares authorized so far. We're working on a pre-money valuation in the $15 million range, having 2 products that have already gotten past phase 1. There are a number of investment incentives you may or may not be aware of that our previous investors have taken advantage of. Our 2009 investors actually got 58% of their original investment back as within a year of making the investment as a result of our participation in the Maryland Biotech Incentive Tax Credit Program and the piggyback program that Montgomery County does. And then you all are probably aware of the federal tax exclusion that also occurred last year and may or may not be given for this year. Our desired exit is in 3 to 5 years with hopefully a value well in excess of $100 million, but it depends on clinical outcomes. And I hope I've shown you that relatively small investment in our assets, in developing our assets in our company can significantly increase the value. Our lead product is ready for 2 clinical trials in 2 indications, both large markets. We have a great management team and board and a solid pipeline backed by very rich science. Thank you.
Joe, Mike.
I'm interested in, you're not applying for BLA, but it's a biologic product, and I thought only BLA submissions are going to be covered by the data exclusivity in the Obamacare bill that got passed.
So biologics is what it reads.
Right.
And in 2000, the FDA reorganized, and we originally were, our regulatory path was on the CBER side, the biologics side that would file a BLA. Then they decided to put protein drugs like ours and monoclonal antibodies under CDER, which is the drug side, which files an NDA. But there's no language in the legislation that says that you have to do a BLA or an NDA to benefit from the exclusivity. It's a biologic drug, it's a protein drug, and that's the definition in the legislation.
Mike?
Yeah, what happens if the court overturns the entire Affordable Care Act? How does that affect?
Well, we still have patents, and we still have other protections. There's first to market, which is 5 years in the U.S. and 5 years, 10 years in the EU, and we have some of our products will be covered by orphan product designation as well. But you know, I hope that they don't. There are some good things in that legislation as well as the things that people don't like. So,
Understand.
You get pediatric exclusivity also.
pardon me?
You'll get pediatric exclusivity
Yes, for the
on your
pediatric products.
infant drug.
Mhm.
Okay, Ron.
How do you make the protein, and what's its pharmacology?
We make the protein by bacterial fermentation.
In coli?
It's a very robust process. The least expensive you can get for protein production. Its pharmacology is it's a copy of the naturally occurring protein.
Is it a
Which
chemokine
means-
or a cytokine?
Which
or-
means it's got pleiotropic activities. It anti-inflammatory effects multiple pathways. And we're following a replacement restoration strategy to try to mitigate the regulatory risks that come with pleiotropic proteins. But, and so far that's worked with the FDA.
Okay. Now, just a minute, Chan and Randy are going to explain what pleiotropic proteins are. Thank you very much. Okay, that's excellent.